So let's take a few minutes here to go through these quotes and see how well you did on this challenge. Wait a second. Let's get this out of here. Okay, now I don't know if you were able to look them up and check them to see if you got them right. I don't know if you took my previous course and went back and found your worksheet to go back and check, but it doesn't matter. We're going to go through them together right now and see if we can make some sense of these. All right, so the first one says, the purpose of consciousness is to assist the individual to adapt to the environment. The purpose of this adaptation is to secure the individual's welfare, that is, their safety and prosperity. There, to me, I feel like there was a giveaway in this one, and that is this idea of securing individual welfare, safety, and prosperity. Basically, this quote is saying that the purpose of everything we think, feel, and do is for us to try to survive. And if you remember, William James, so we're going to go B, James functionalism. If you remember, one of the interesting functionalism. One of the interesting things that James theorized through his work was that the main function of all human behavior boils down to one ultimate thing, and that was survival. Now, he doesn't use the quote or the word survival in the quote, but that is basically what he's saying. So hopefully you were able to figure that out, and that's what he is saying there. All right, good. So we got one off the list. We can cross that off the list, right? Number 2, I did not direct my life. I didn't design it. I never made a decision. Things always came up and made them for me. That's what life is. This is a psychologist saying that we don't have as much control over things in our life. We may think we're making decisions, but ultimately the behaviorists, this is B.F. Skinner. So ultimately, we're going to go D here. What B.F. Skinner is saying here is that even when we think we're making decisions and we think that we're choosing things, it's really just the environment influencing us and stimulating us, and ultimately we respond to those stimuli according to the situation. So we don't have as much control over our behavior as we would like to think so, and so this is a very behavioristic look at human behavior. So number 2 is behaviorism. All right, number 3. If you treat your children at home in the same way you treat your animals in the lab, your wife will scratch your eyes out. My wife ferociously warned me against experimenting on her babies. So ultimately what is being said here is that humans are very complex. You can't assume that you can put a human being in a lab and do tests on a human to fully understand the complexities of human behavior. So this would be a humanist. This is, in fact, Maslow. Human behavior is much more complex than just what you can get a rat to do in a lab in a cage somewhere, right? And I like that he threw his wife in there. She was clearly a humanist as well. She said, don't be messing with my babies. Don't be messing with humans like you would mess with some rats or something in a lab. Way more complex than that. All right, good. Hopefully you're 3 for 3. Let's do number 4. A variety of methods: developmental, comparative, introspective, deductive, statistical, and experimental could and should be brought to bear on the analysis of psychological phenomenon. First of all, I like that any one of these psychologists would suggest that. The idea of the science of this psychology using tried and true scientific methods. But the one dead giveaway here I thought was introspective. Who used the method of introspection? And that would be Wundt. So for number 4, you should have A, Wundt. Structuralism. Structuralism, there we go. Sloppy, but you get the idea. So we can cross that off, all right? We also can cross off Maslow, so we've used 3 of them. Oh, no, and we've used 4, right? And Skinner, yeah, we already got a Skinner. We got a behaviorism quote in there, too. All right, good. Let's go here to number 5. I'm going to slide up. Number 5, I think my deepest criticism of the educational system at that point, junior high and high school, and that also applies to other periods, is that it's all based upon a distrust of the student. Don't trust him to follow his own leads. Guide him. Tell him what to do. Tell him what he should think. Tell him what he should learn. Consequently, at the very age when he should be developing adult characteristics of choice and decision making, when he should be trusted on some of those things, trusted to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes, he is instead regimented into a curriculum, whether it fits him or not. Now, this one I found it to be tricky because a lot of times students will read this and they'll say, oh, yeah, the way he's described, yeah, we should put him into a curriculum, put him in a desk, in a room, use the bells at school and give him instructions and guide him along the way. That sounds very behaviorism. But if you go back to the opening line, what is he saying here? He is criticizing that structure. He is criticizing the behavioristic model that we often use in most of our educational settings. For the most part, there's a lot of behaviorist ideas that go into the way we conduct school. And he's criticizing that. So who would criticize behaviorist ideas? This is a humanist quote. So let me go back up here. This is actually Carl Rogers, so we can cross him off. We'll come back down. And let's put E. This is Rogers. This is humanism. All right, moving right along. Number 6. The act of birth is the first experience of anxiety and thus the source and prototype of the effect of anxiety. So this is somebody saying that right out of the gate, in fact, even before we're out of the womb, the whole birthing process, I don't know if we talked about this or not, is a very stressful experience that every human being goes through. And unfortunately, that little tiny infant that is going through that whole painful, emotional, confusing experience of being born doesn't have a full grip and an understanding of it. And consequently, the anxiety and the stress that is created during that experience is something that human being buries in their subconscious from day one. And it's always in there until they can get through it, understand it, make sense of it later in their life. So this is clearly a Sigmund Freud quote. This is him talking about the subconscious stresses and anxieties that develop early on in our infancy. So if we go back up here, we're going to cross off Freud, go up here, and we're going to cross off Freud. Come back down here. What was he? He is C. We're going to go C, Freud, psychoanalysis. All right, that leaves us 2 more to go. Number 7 says, men are built, not born. Give me the baby, and I'll make it climb and use its hands in constructing buildings of stone or wood. I'll make it a thief, a gunman, or a dope fiend. The possibilities of shaping in any direction are almost endless. Basically, what this person is saying is that if you give me an infant when it's born and give me a laboratory setting and anything I want to condition it and to train it and to raise it, I can create an environment that enables me to turn that baby into anything that you want me to turn it into. So basically, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with who the baby's parents are, what its genetics are. It's more about the environment that I can create for it to live in, and that's going to guide and shape how it grows and develops. And if you've been paying attention to anything that I said, that is clearly a behaviorism quote. So who do we have left? We have Watson. John B. Watson said this. It's actually a very famous one. And he is a behaviorist. So come up here. Let's cross him off. There's Watson. And that leaves one more. That is number 8 says, but man has still another powerful resource, natural science with its strictly objective methods. The key here is all about science, objective methods, observation, provable facts and information, and that's how you figure out and understand behavior, and that is another behaviorist idea and thought. The humanists would say that, human behavior is much deeper than just what you can observe. There's more to it. The behaviorists, no, they like to observe everything, and so that's going to be the last one we have, Pavlov. Behaviorism. All right, so we're going to come up here, and we're going to cross off Pavlov. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there you go. There you have all of them. Hopefully you were 8 for 8, but I know how difficult it was, and if you weren't, no big deal. But now you have not only the answers to these quotes, which is not that important, but just another little review of some of the basic concepts that these branches of psychology are founded in. I hope that was helpful.